All right, you sick of me yet? All righty, welcome. This is Newfield High School, and it's pretty much empty. It's very sad. So today, for this video, I am going to teach you or go through the two types of word problems. Well, this is going to be the first type, and then I'll make another video for the second type. Yay. Let's see how this goes. Woo. So we're using everything that we've done so far, and it's just now in a word problem. That's really it. So we've done all this. None of this is really new, but when you see a lot of words, you tend to freak out a little. So, here we go. This is the first type of word problem where they actually give you an equation and then they relate it to some real life event, and then you have to determine certain pieces of it. Okay, so this particular equation is, you probably can't see it, but you have it in front of you. This is the equation. And what they're asking you is, it's saying that the equilibrium point is y equals 0. And all that means is that's the midline. So D is 0. Good to know. And this is the equation of this buoy that's sitting in the water, and it's just bobbing. So it goes underwater, it goes above, it's just kind of bobbing around. And the path that it makes is, here, this is my buoy. It just, it's constantly making that cyclical cycle. As you can see, it's going up, it's going down. And the farthest it's going down is its minimum, and the highest it's going up is its maximum, and so on. So that's what we're trying to find. So given this equation, can you answer some questions about it? And the basic questions that they ask are max, min, period, all that kind of stuff. So it's the same questions, just you have to translate it to a word problem. So part A says, what's the max? So remember, when we're doing the range, it's the min to the max. So the max would be D plus the amplitude. So D plus the amplitude, D is 0, we've said this already. So it's 0 plus the amplitude is 5. Remember, amplitude is always positive, so even though this is -5, the amplitude is 5, right? So the highest it goes is 5, whatever the units are. The min is D minus the amplitude, so in this case it's 0 minus 5. So the lowest that it goes is -5. So it just kind of stays in the water and goes up and down. Okay. What is the period? So the period, remember, is 2 pi over b. This is b. Remember, this is a. This is b. B is a fraction. So it is equal to 2 pi over 6. So that's 2 pi times 6 over pi. So remember, it's keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. Trying to speak loud, but who knows. So the pi's cancel out. So the period is 12. 12 seconds probably, I assume. Sketch one cycle of this. So to sketch this, I'm just going to erase this because I'm writing really large so you can see it. So I'm going to erase this so I can do the sketch. So sketching is what you just spent some time on. You missed that. You missed it. Okay. Sketching the graph is D is our damper. Okay, so we already talked about the D is 0, A is 5. A is actually -5, so since this is cosine, we know since it's -5, this is A, not the amplitude, it's A. Okay, since it's -5, it starts at the minimum. Starts at the min, because cosine, if it's A is negative, starts at the min. If it's positive, it starts at the max. The period we just decided was 12. The interval is the period divided by 4. So in this case, it's 3. And the range, I should not have erased it, but it's -5 to 5, as I recall. Okay, it's the min to the max, which we did in this part. Okay, so sketch one cycle. I brought a ruler. I hope it helps. So generally we have one side. We only need one side. This is not going well, but we'll see how it goes. So a couple things you have to know when they ask you to sketch one cycle. One, it's a sketch, so you don't have to be crazy, but you do need the 5 key points correct. And you should label the X and Y axis. So the X here is time, and we're gonna say in seconds. And this side over here, I didn't do, this is height, or depth, or whatever, you know. Okay, so since the amplitude, oh, that's Ferris. I should have paid attention. This one right here, the range is going to tell you how to draw your cycle and where to put your X and Y axis. This is a nice learning moment here. So because I need to go 5 below the X-axis and 5 above the X-axis, I need to draw this the X-axis in the middle. So if we just had positive, everything was positive, then it would be fine where I was. All right, that's good enough. So this is my X-axis. So remember this, you should still label that the X-axis is time somehow. So 5 up is the max, good to label. 5 down is the min. That's -5. Okay, Y equals 0, this is also my midline. Unless they tell you to label your midline, if it's the X-axis, you don't have to, but any other time I would write it. Okay, now we have to do our interval. So we have to label our points. So remember, 0 is the first point. Then we count 4 more points. So this is our first one. 4 more points by 3s. So 0 3s, 1 3, 2 3s, 3 3s, and 4 3s. That's one cycle there. 5 points, 1 cycle. So it's cosine. So cosine starts at the min. So this is our first point, and then from there we just do our 5 points. Now I'm going 12. It looks to be like I have 12. So each slash, each one of these, I'm going to put a mark. Those are the only places I'll put marks. And since they're up by 1s, I don't really have to label unless you want to. 6, 9, 12. So then we start at the min, midline, max, midline, min. Okay, connect the points. That's one nice sketch. Okay, don't use a ruler to sketch the points. It is a curve. It is gentle hill, so do that. So then it says, where is the buoy when X is 0? So when X is 0 here, you can plug it in. So you can take 0, plug it in here. Make sure your calculator's in radians if you're going to do this. Make sure your calculator's in radians. You take 0, you can just plug it in. But here we can actually see, add 0.
Miss Noon, please contact the main office, 8305, Miss Noon.
I think it's the same person that was listed. So -5, it's at -5, so this is D. When X is 0, Y is -5. So it's at the min, that's what we're asking. At 7, now a 7 is a little hard because this is 6, this is 7. My graph is not accurate, okay? So my graph is not accurate here. So what do? I plug it in. You plug it in, you put 5 into your calculator, make sure your calculator's in radians. And yeah, I should probably pause right here because I didn't do this. I wasn't even looking. I should use Liam's calculator, that would be good. So we just plug it in, you get your value. So at X is 7, Y is whatever you get. I guess in the comments or something, I'll tell you, at this point in the Ed puzzle, I'll tell you what the answer was because I don't want to waste your time right now. So at this point though, is it going, it's always asking, is it bobbing up or down at this value? So at this point right here, at X equals 7, you can see that we're going down right now. So the buoy's going down. At 0, for this one, the graph isn't, it's not doing anything. The buoy is kind of at its lowest point, so it's not going up or down. So it's at the min, no movement. Okay, beautiful. All right, so at this point, I'll tell you what that value was. I don't really feel like doing it. Just remember you're in radians. You plug 7 in and you're good. All right, so I know this is a little long, but it's word problems. I would have done this in class. Don't you miss class? Why is it doing this? There we go. All right, so now we have a rodeo performer. This is number 2 in that worksheet. We have a rodeo performer that spins a lasso, so we have to do basically the same thing. We do graph a lot of cosine. Cosine seems to be the one that we use the most. So X they're telling you is time, measured in seconds, so that's good to know, and the height from the ground at t seconds. Okay, slight typo here, I apologize. We've already, yeah, that shouldn't be there. What is the highest point reached by the knot? So this is a very regular question we ask. We're finding the max, we're finding the min. So remember, the max is D plus the amplitude. So it's 4. So remember, this is A, this is B, this is D. So D is 4. The amplitude is the positive value of this, so plus 3. So it's, the highest is 7. B, they're asking for the lowest, so that's D minus the amplitude. So I did this last time, T. So it is a 4 minus 3, or 1. This particular one, it all stays positive. It's going to bounce between 1 and 7. Meaning he's got this lasso thing, it's not going to go below the ground unless he's standing in a hole, which he's not. So when I do the graph, I can deal with this being the x-axis and that being the y-axis. How long does it take the knot to get from the lowest point back to the lowest point? So when they say something like that, the lowest point, so if you're looking at cosine, this is a negative, right? A is negative, so we know we start at the min. We'll do this in a second. It's just the order they're asking the questions that's awkward. So you start at the min and get back to the min. That's 1 full cycle. That's their tricky way of asking what's the period. That's all they're asking. So C, how long does it take the knot to go from the lowest point back to the lowest point? 2 pi over B, which is pi over 3. So again, it's keep, change, flip. These cancel out, and we're just left with 6. So it takes 6 seconds for him to, whatever, do it. I don't do it. Okay? They want us to sketch. So this is our information. Please try to remember it, because I won't. I wish I could ask you, because I'm not going to remember. So let's just do the range is 1 to 7, and the period is 6. Because I'm going to erase this, because I'm going to forget. Okay. Bam! So we're graphing. Graphing is dapper. D is our 4. A is -3. Remember, A is negative. And remember, it's cosine, so it starts at min. Okay, P is the period. So we said period was 6. I wrote that down because I'm super smart. 6 divided by 4 is my interval. So that would be 3 over 2. That gets a little annoying. We're going to go over how to deal with that. Okay, and then the range we said is 1 to 7. Alrighty, so the way that we do this, we're going to graph this guy. So this is cosine. So I'm going to draw my y-axis. I can't touch the smartboard while I'm doing this. So this is just a effort and futility here. So this is my 1. I'm going to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you want to spread it out, you can. So maybe I could just spread it out so you can see it better. So instead of starting at 1 there, I'm going to start at 1 there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So because I'm kind of spreading mine out a little, I do have to make sure that I have that labeled. So my D is at 4, that's my midline. So it starts here, 2, 3, 4, this is my midline. Definitely graph the midline, but don't draw a solid line, always draw a dotted line. Labeling it just butters you up, like makes the teacher feel good if you actually label y equals 4. So cosine, we're starting at the midline, starting at the minimum here, and then I gotta figure where I go. So that's my y-axis. I like to label my y-axis first, get that kind of set, then label my x-axis. So since my interval is 3/2, so you can label fractions, you can make it nice and do your best, and I don't know. You can do whatever you want. Like, that's what I'm saying. So since my interval, my period, is 6, I'm gonna put the 6 there. So this is how I'm gonna label it if I have to deal with fractions. Now you could count 3.5 or 3/2 or 1.5. And the way I did it, since I spread it out, it's not that hard to do. But just be aware that you just need the slash marks. You don't need to label every piece. So when we're doing this, our intervals starts at 0, and our 5 points are 1 3/2, 2 3/2s, so 2 times 3/2. So I'm just going to write it like this: 3 3/2s and 4 3/2s. Okay, so when you're actually doing this, this is how we actually count it out, because it's the same distance apart: 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 3/2s. So these are pretty straightforward. This one would just be 3. This one would be 9/2, and this one, of course, we've already said this is 12/2, or 6. So these are the two that are pretty easy to put, and those are the ones that I would absolutely put. So right in the middle, I would put 3, and then I just will put my slash marks where they belong. There's really no need to label these 9/2 and 3/2, unless you want to. Okay, I just need evenly spaced marks, and at least one of them labeled. That's it. Okay, so then now that I have those done, just realize that these are where my points are. So then I just draw it. So this is the min, the midline, the max, the midline, the min. I always make sound effects when I do that, so there you go. Find the height of the knot after 5 seconds. So 5 seconds would be right around here somewhere. This is 3, no, right here, yeah, in this area, somewhere around here. So 9/2, maybe it's over here, okay, somewhere there. I don't know what it is. Plug it into the calculator, again in radians. So what you would do, you would plug in -3 cosine pi/3. The way it's in your calculator, you kind of have to finagle it, because they automatically put a parenthesis here. So it's pi/3, then you put, what they say, 5. So it's kind of look like this in your calculator. You guys are better at it than me, so I'm not going to worry too much. Then you get your answer. I don't have my answer. I'll put it in the Edpuzzle when I'm done. But is the knot going up or down? So here, it's over here somewhere. Any graph over here, the knot's going down. Any side over here, the knot is going up. So here, the knot is going down. Okay? Hopefully this helps. It was just cosine. If you have any problems with sine or any of the other problems, please feel free to message me, and I will help you. This is what I'm here for. That's all I want to do, is help you. Sorry this was a little long, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just stand here and look at you for a while. I'm just kidding. Have a nice day.